It is said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. This adage refers to the idea that complex ideas can often be conveyed with a single image. And when you effectively add words to the pictures, its worth gets multiplied even more. Public health is one of those complex issues that we often have a hard time effectively explaining to people. That's why a project called PhotoVoice, which turns teenagers into photojournalists on health issues, has been such a breakthrough in educating young people about public health. Today we're going to look at this unique way that teens have become engaged in addressing the health needs in their community. I think you'll be interested. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to A Public Health Journal, a program that explores public health issues facing our society today and tomorrow. The host of the show is Dr. Ed Ellinger, Commissioner of Health for the state of Minnesota. A Public Health Journal is sponsored by the Minnesota Department of Health and the Hennepin County Human Services and Public Health Department, all working together towards the goal of healthy people living in healthy communities.
Welcome to A Public Health Journal. PhotoVoice is an effort to have students from across the state become photojournalists to document what keeps them from being healthy and what helps them stay healthy. Today we're going to talk about that project and see one result of the work of those students. Joining me to discuss PhotoVoice project is Bill Burleson, Communications Coordinator for the Statewide Health Improvement Program of the Minnesota Department of Health, and Alyssa Banks, Youth Violence Prevention Coordinator at the City of Minneapolis Department of Health and Family Support. Alyssa, Bill, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to have this program on PhotoVoice because we're going to have a little 10-minute video showing some of the work. But in kind of preparation, Alyssa, what is PhotoVoice? I understand this is a little bit broader concept than just here in Minnesota.
Sure. Well, PhotoVoice is a interactive qualitative research methodology that uses photography as a medium to elicit people's perceptions and ideas about a particular issue. It was developed by researchers in the University of London, Carolyn Wang, and Marianne Burris back in the early 90s, working with rural women in the Yunnan province in China to really have those women tell their stories about some of the policy and issues that were affecting their community, as well as how programs weren't necessarily serving their needs. And so from there, researchers and community advocates have used this methodology to really engage people in particular issues that affect them to be able to tell their story. And that's really what PhotoVoice is about.
Hey, Bill, so how did you, as the Statewide Health Improvement Program, coordinator and communication coordinator, see PhotoVoice as fitting into that project, the SHIP program, which looks at physical activity, nutrition, smoking? How did this come about that, this might be a good methodology to use?
Well, it came up a few different times with different people, but for me, the germ was I had received a email with a link to a Kaiser Permanente video that happened around the country in several locations on exactly this topic. And working in this kind of work, you get a tremendous amount of email every day with all kinds of different links and different research papers and such. And I viewed this thing and I thought, this is spot on for what we need. It is so difficult, as you mentioned, to articulate what public health is, what we're trying to do around the Statewide Health Improvement Program, and to really show how our built environment, our physical world of sidewalks and streets and transit or not transit, being able to walk to school or not, parks, that sort of thing, how that affects our health, and especially how does that affect our youth.
So how did this project get started, and how did it get put together before we take a look at it? Alyssa?
Sure. Well, I think as part of the Statewide Health Improvement Program, there was an opportunity for SHIP grantees to apply to do a PhotoVoice project in their communities around a particular SHIP intervention. And so we worked with our Healthy Housing, Healthy Communities intervention to work with young people that were residents in the housing properties where the intervention was taking place, to really engage the young people in the SHIP intervention and to get their experiences and perspectives on the issue. So that's really how it came to be.
And Bill, wasn't this was a statewide thing? It was not just in Minneapolis.
Right. Yeah. We had 12 communities do this, including 2 tribes, many rural areas, which is very exciting, Dakota County, and both Minneapolis and St. Paul. And Minneapolis did an outstanding job. Alyssa did a fantastic job in really making this thing to be everything that it could be. It needed some funding, so we found a little bit of funding. It's actually very, very inexpensive, which is one of the beautiful things about PhotoVoice, because these youth aren't paid. They're doing it purely on the zeal for their community, wanting to do this project. And we found a little bit of federal funding. It wasn't funded through the statewide health improvement program at all. It was a little bit of federal grant money that we found for this. And yeah, and we created a simple process for application for this, because I'm all about simple processes. A nice little one-page application, and we selected 12 grantees who went out there and did a fantastic job. We hired a contractor by the name of Community Blueprint, really great bunch of people who specialize in working with youth.
Right.
And
then I understand you also gave them cameras.
Yes. Yeah, so that was one of the materials that was supplied by the project, which is important. So, young people got a chance to get their own camera, and these are just Canon Power Shots. They're pretty simple point and shoot camera, but for many of our young people, this was the first time that they had ever had a camera before. So it was almost like Christmas for them to get these.
So they went out, took a bunch of photos, told their stories in a photographic way, brought it back, put together into this video, which we're going to see. So
they had quite a bit of training that they underwent to do this, and that was a big piece of this. Was having them in a room for a day and really teaching them about the topic. And then at the end, after the photojournalism piece is done, to come back and do presentations and show what they came up with and talk about why they thought that was important. And the million-dollar question that they had to answer was, what is health? What is health in my community? And that was their marching orders.
Okay, so with those marching orders, let's play this video, which is about 10 minutes long, and then we'll come back and talk about what we've seen. So let's roll the video.
Here at Farmington High School, and I was one of the youth involved in the Health in My Hometown PhotoVoice project. Young people from 13 counties across Minnesota were involved in answering this question: what is health and how does it impact me? They were armed with cameras and given the charge to go out in their communities and document what is helping them grow up healthy and what is holding them back. Can they walk or bike to school? Do they have access to healthy food? Are there places where they can have fun and be active? They answered these and many other questions. This is what they came up with.
My name is Pachia. I'm 18 years old and I'm from the East Side St. Paul. At the Community Design Center, we are a non-profit organization at the East Side. We have 7 organic gardens all around East Side. We give half of our produce to our community supported agriculture members.
My name is Mai Shane Vu. I am 16 years old. The Community Design Center is not about just talking and touching dirt and touching plants. It's about commuting to people, getting to know them, and learn more about gardens.
In my definition, PhotoVoice is taking a picture of something that you're not explaining anything, but then when you look at the picture, it has its own meaning to it, and you will understand what the picture is telling you.
Hi, my name is Pat Adams. I'm the Director of the Office of Statewide Health Improvement Initiatives at the Minnesota Department of Health. We took on this PhotoVoice project to look at health from a different perspective, that of our state's young people. We know the community has a huge influence on the health of its members. So we asked young people, what makes your community healthy for you?
I currently work for the Red Lake Comprehensive Health Services as the Statewide Health Improvement Program Tribal Mawanji Idiwag Project Coordinator. We are standing on the south shore of the lower Red Lake, and the lake is one of our most prized natural resources in the community, and it provides for us a variety of fresh lake fish varieties. One of them being the infamous red lake walleye.
My name's Felicia DeJarly. I'm 15 years old. I go to Red Lake High School. I'm in 10th grade. I took pictures of my community. I tried capturing what was beautiful about it, and I took pictures of some things that we might need help on. I took this picture for PhotoVoice because it's an unsafe spot in our community, and kids used to play here, but now they can't because it's vandalized. And when I look at this park, I see garbage all over and a lot of graffiti on all the play sets. If we could clean up the park and clean off the graffiti, this would be a good place for the kids to play.
Even though we have barriers in the community, we have a lot of good things that are happening with the statewide health improvement program, and that is a community garden, the farmers market, and cooking demos at the work site. The St. Mary's Get-to-Gone, or garden, was a partnership with the St. Mary's Mission School summer program, and the focus was to establish the garden as a community garden for the students and their families, and hopefully that the harvest would be utilized in a community feast.
My name is Khalid Umar.
My name is Mary.
My name is Mohammed Drama.
My name is Allison Moore, and I work here at the Minneapolis Department of Health and Family Support.
PhotoVoice is taking pictures and telling a story at the same time.
PhotoVoice to me was a place where I had the chance to use my love for photography and apply it to my community and show people things that they might not always see.
PhotoVoice to me is basically taking picture and sharing your story.
I think that PhotoVoice is a really exciting way to visually show how the environment in which we live really does affect our health and affect our everyday life. And so I think seeing it through the eyes of youth and how they experience the conditions in which they live is a really unique way for youth to share their voice, to be engaged, and also contribute to the SHIP efforts.
The Citizens Youth Council did a mural. The first murals we did in the community was basically identifying what the community is and knowing that we need to put something that brings legacy. The purpose of the mural was bringing the community out and looking at something that their own youth did.
While living in the city, public transportation makes things like downtown easily accessible by way of light rail, bus, or biking. And now they have a new system where we can rent bikes, and it gives people a chance to be outside and be healthy.
The students took photos of a wide variety of topics, from seeing how easy it is to get around their city, to what their schools serve for lunch, to examining tobacco policy in their community.
We all need to take care of ourselves, but we also have a responsibility to take care of our community and to work for the health of everyone, especially our youth. That's another reason why we're interested in this PhotoVoice project and its ability to spur community dialogue. What can we do to make it easier to be healthy, especially for our young people?
The arts can help to engage the disengaged and build a sense of community well-being. It can benefit communities by engaging people in programs that aim to promote public health prevention issues, wellness activities, and communicating health information to improve knowledge.
This project honestly was inspired me personally. I learned negative things and positive health in my community. I learned things that I never seen in my community, and I took pictures of them.
I learned a lot from this project because I got to see things that I never knew that were in my community, and now this project gives me a chance to show other people what they might not see on the inside.
There is no quick fix to improve our health. We need to not only treat disease, we need to take action to prevent or delay the onset of chronic diseases. And we know we can do that individually by eating healthier, getting more physical activity, and avoiding commercial tobacco products. Communities have a big influence on what choices are available, like safe crosswalks, maintained parks, and healthy school lunches. That's why across Minnesota, communities are working hard to make it easier for people to live healthier. The Minnesota Department of Health is committed to helping make the healthy choice the easy choice.
For me, this project was just the start. It helped me to get a better idea of how I can be involved to help change the health of Minnesota.
Welcome back. We're talking about PhotoVoice with Bill Burleson from the Minnesota Department of Health and Alyssa Banks from the Minneapolis Department of Health and Family Support. Yep. The two health departments in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in addition to Ramsey and St. Paul. But what a nice piece from this project. How is this being used? You know, we've seen lots of images, lots of things from throughout the state. How is this project being used?
Well, I think, I can speak with how we used it in Minneapolis. I think it was really an opportunity to engage residents and community members that were directly impacted by the SHIP interventions. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we really wanted to find a creative way to engage some of the young people that were directly impacted by the Healthy Housing, Healthy Communities intervention, which aimed to improve residents' access to healthier foods, provide opportunities for physical activity, and support housing properties to go smoke-free. And so to be able to tell the story about, you know, what is actually happening in those properties, the young people came to us and they said, we want to be part of this project. This sounds like an awesome opportunity for us to go out into the community and take pictures of things that are important to us that help to support our health and make it difficult to support our health. So from that project, we went on to host community exhibits in 4 of the 7 Healthy Housing, Healthy Communities housing properties that we worked with. And so the young people held an exhibit there. They talked about their experience participating in the project, what these issues meant to them. And then it was also an opportunity to have a dialogue about what the intervention was and what was happening in those housing properties. So it was a creative and very effective community engagement tool.
Bill, what do you see statewide, the kind of impact that this video is having and this project generally having?
Well, we've had similar sort of events all over the state, really. Grand Portage, the St. Paul did a nice show at the Landmark Center for several months over the winter time. There's been all kinds of opportunities to give these to the city councils and do presentations to civic leaders, that sort of thing, in schools and community centers throughout the state. So it's really had a great deal of reach so far, and it's still online. It's available at healthinourhometown.org. It's at the end of the video. And there's some other materials, like printed materials. There's a very limited run of them, but we still have a few of the printed materials around too.
Well, it touched on a whole variety of issues. I mean, things that the environment, how important that is, the physical environment, the social environment, the food, schools. What are the things that are really catching people's attention? Certainly for me, seeing the playground that has been full of graffiti and a kid throwing a can up at the basketball hoop was sort of striking at that the infrastructure is not there for a lot of physical activity. What are the things that are really resonating with people throughout the state?
I think a couple of things. Certainly the school pieces, when it comes time for photos, for example, we have some great photos of a school in Dakota County. It's a great school. It's a very progressive school. There's no way to walk to it. So there's photographs of kids walking through drainage ditches trying to walk to school. I could explain all day long what the concept of Safe Routes to School is, which is a program to try to create ways for kids to be able to just simply walk to school like many of us did when we were young. Nothing explains it like that photo. Here's this poor child shouldn't have to run across that county road to go to school every day. That's not right. Anybody could see that's not right. So that resonates heavily. Some of the community garden work, the school garden work especially, those sort of things, people trying to take charge and learn about agriculture. And some of that's less about how that food ends up going into the school, and more about the kids learning about food and where food comes from. We live in Minnesota. This has always been an agricultural state, and we understood agriculture. And for kids to now see things like a potato and say, I don't know what that is, that's not right. And those are the kind of things that we found. And so to get kids to start seeing how their world works and to sensitize them to it, I think really gives us a great boost for the next generation.
So, you know, in the Minneapolis project, the kids, how many kids were involved? How many students were involved in this project?
We had 7 young people that were teenagers between the ages of 14 and 17 years old that were from the different healthy housing, healthy communities properties that we worked with. So
what do you think they learned in the process of doing this?
You know, I was so impressed by our young people through this project. I think that there was a really steep learning curve. I mean, when you talk about the goals of SHIP and you talk about some of the activities and interventions that we're working on, it's a lot of information. And I think for young people to hear that in a creative way, it really starts to engage them. And so, you know, I think the biggest thing that they told me that they really got out of it was the opportunity to see their world in a different lens, in a different perspective, and to be able to have somebody help to show that to them in a visual way was a really engaging and exciting experience for them. I think that also it built a lot of leadership skills for these young people. It's, you know, it's one thing to tell your story, but it's another thing for them to actually tell the story themselves and to show the picture of, you know, these are the issues that are affecting my community, or these are the things and the assets in my community that help to support me to be healthy. And this is me telling my story. So it really developed their sense of self-esteem and their leadership skills, as well as built their capacity to further look at other issues that might affect them in their community as well.
So that's what the students learned, or the people involved, the kids involved. Bill, what did you learn, you know, as the communications coordinator for SHIP, and what did the agencies throughout the state that sort of had to partner with, what did they learn in this process?
I think they learned that what a wide breadth of what affects health in the community. I was just so intrigued by what the youth saw as an asset or a deficit. Excuse me. I remember one kid, for example, from Minneapolis. Here's a great picture of her sitting in the swing set at the Cedar Riverside project. Now, people drive by Cedar Riverside on the freeway all the time, and they see this building, and there's a certain reputation to it that's probably not deserved, but there's still this kind of reputation. And what that kid said about it was, I get to play here because my parents know I'm safe when I'm playing in the playground at Cedar Riverside. And that's not the first thing that came to my mind as maybe a dangerous neighborhood or a dangerous circumstance. And no, this is safety for the kid. Their parents can watch them there. So I learned all kinds of different ways to see my world in a different way because of these kids.
Now, Alyssa, I know that you have a little arts background, and with the pictures that we saw in the video here, I mean, they're very artistic. What's the link between art and public health that gets highlighted in this kind of thing?
You know, I think that it's a really important, using the arts in public health is a really important and effective way to engage young people and engage communities in a particular issue. It's used for health education, advocacy, health promotion, and so, you know, PhotoVoice, or using photography, this documentary photography style, is one way to allow people to start to visualize how their community influences their health. And they say, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, photography transcends languages and transcends cultures, and so that picture will mean many different things to many different people from many different cultures. And I think that it just speaks to the power of using the arts in this type of work, because it really allows people to start to think about their environment and how health impacts their environment in a creative way, in a way that, you know, isn't necessarily giving a direct message, but a way that might engage people from different kinds of audiences. So there's photojournalism photography like this. There's also many other ways. Photonovela is another style. Using music and other types of visual arts are many other effective ways to engage people in public health issues.
And how does this relate to your job in violence prevention?
Well, so now I'm the Youth Violence Prevention Coordinator for the City of Minneapolis, and I help to oversee the Minneapolis Blueprint for Action to Prevent Youth Violence, which takes a public health approach to violence prevention. And so I think that this methodology is incredibly important to the work that we do, because so much of the Blueprint for Action is really about engaging communities in this work and really knowing that a public health approach to violence prevention is multifaceted, that it's not just city government, it's many different sectors coming together to have a collective impact on the issue of youth violence. And so if we're able to engage young people as well as community members around this issue and have them tell their stories about how violence impacts their community or how they can prevent violence, I think it's a way to really mobilize people and also raise awareness about this very important issue.
Well, this is a great project, great result, and has lots of implications down the road. So I wish you very well on this project. I hope it gets lots of legs and gets done many, many times. Thanks for being here. It was a great program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll be back with a closing comment right after this message.
Salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, throw a ball Thursday. Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday. Let's move Monday, sparkles next Sunday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
One of the most important requirements for any successful public health activity is that people in the community are engaged with the issue or the activity. Without the buy-in from the people affected, programs and policies to improve the health of the people in those communities will not be optimally successful. But getting people to be engaged in public health programs and activities in their communities is easier said than done. Often people are too busy to become engaged, or they don't think they can actually make a difference, or they think it's somebody else's problem to solve, or they don't know how to get engaged, or they really aren't interested. For whatever reason, effective community engagement is a difficult job, but it's not an impossible task. It may take a bit of work and a bit of creativity, but it is possible. Today in our discussion of PhotoVoice, we saw a good example of one way of getting that engagement. We can learn a lot from that PhotoVoice project, but more importantly, we can learn a lot from the teenagers who made PhotoVoice a success. If people can personalize an issue, if they can see how they can make a difference, and if they can contribute something meaningful to the initiative, they will get engaged. And if they have some fun in the process, that only enhances their engagement. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you can join us again next time on A Public Health Journal.